Hello, I'm Ben. Nightmare on Elm Street is my favourite horror series. They aren't perfect and some of the films really aren't that great, but the series does contain some ingredients that I love in a film, namely dream sequences and trying to control said dreams, and the dreams and real world crossover idea. I'm not a fan of straightforward slashers so much, so for me the dream elements included in the Nightmare series help to make it a little more interesting. So join me on my nightmarish journey as I count down my favourite entries in this series. Please note this list is not including the spin-offs or the 2010 remake for that matter, the latter of which I would need a very long very long video about to cover and do it justice. Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. The final nightmare, but the first one on this list, as unfortunately it sits last place for me. Freddy Krueger has returned and killed almost every child and teenager in the town of Springwood. John Doe is the only remaining teenager and is confronted by Freddy in a dream. This film offers a fair bit of Freddy's lore, which could have been interesting, but the problem is none of the characters that are hunted by Krueger are portrayed particularly well, and by this point in the series Freddy was more of a comedic caricature than actual scary villain. Next, A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child. Alice has a vision in which she is dressed in nun's clothing, bearing a name tag belonging to Amanda Krueger. She is in a hospital where she is attacked by patients, then wakes up. What does it all mean? I think Amanda Krueger is a big clue. Some moments of note, but definitely not one of the best. Stephen Hopkins, the film's director, made a comment in an interview that he can't watch this film anymore, due to his belief that the film started off okay until cuts by New Line and the MPAA resulted in the film being a total embarrassment. That's his words. I would say that's a bit harsh, but the special effects are great and the film's increased darkness could be seen as a plus, but some of the acting is what pops it off the most for me, if I'm being honest. A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Not a terrible first sequel, but definitely doesn't live up to the original. Horror movie sequels are often set a few years after the events of the first film. I always wonder what the villains have been doing before they decide to strike again. So, the teenage son of the Welsh family, Jesse, has a nightmare about our Freddy. Jesse and his friend, Lisa Webber, find Nancy Thompson's diary, which details her nightmares that are very similar to his own. One thing that's really refreshing about this film is that Jessie is in a role that is almost always played by a female, what became to be known as final girl in the horror universe. So, at least it avoided one cliche. There is also the plot subtext of Jessie's repressed sexuality, which could be argued as a bold choice to be applauded when you consider when the film was made. It's not bad, but not as tightly driven as the first one. Number 4 stands out because of how creative it is. After the events of the third film, Christine dreams that she is in Freddy's old boiler room. Once again, great visuals. But this one really goes in hard with the creative kills. A solid horror film overall. A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Christine is admitted to a psychiatric hospital. At the hospital, she fights the attempts by staff to put her to sleep through sedation as she fears sleeping. Nancy Thompson, who is now working at the hospital, calms her using Freddy's nursery rhyme, which helps Kristen realise she is not the only one facing Freddy. The reason why I love this one is because of how Nancy uses her knowledge to help others suffering from Freddy's nightmares. The plot device is used to good effect and the film is pretty solid as a whole. With Nancy returning, this film helps tie up her arc, and overall the film feels pretty satisfying. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Now this is how to create a fresh spin on your franchise without being too gimmicky. Do you like your film's meta? Well, this one really does it well. The plot follows Heather Langenkamp, who is known for her role as Nancy in the Elm Street films. One night, Heather has a nightmare in which her family is attacked by an animated set of Freddy Krueger claws. And that is where the action begins. This is a smart and enjoyable entry into the series, which helped restore the franchise into good quality territory. And finally, you probably guessed it, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Yes, probably a really predictable choice, but I can't lie, I don't think the first entry is topped. It's also well put together, and there is nothing that particularly grates for me. It just feels very satisfying. I'm guessing at the time this film would have felt very fresh. Let's not forget, this is the franchise that went on to inspire many horror movies to come. The plot: teenager Tina Gray dreams about a disfigured man wearing a bladed glove who attacks her in the boiler room. When she wakes, she discovers mysterious slashes on her nightgown. And so begins the film that spawned a lot of sequels, many of which, as we have just seen, vary greatly in quality. But when it's good, it's horror gold. And that is my little look over at the Nightmare on Elm Street films. Oh yeah, you might have also noticed a pattern where the films made by original creator Wes Craven are by far the superior ones. So what's your favourite from the list, or maybe you dislike the franchise altogether? Let me know in the comments below.